For decades, humanity has reported encounters with the unknown. Lights in the sky, craft beyond our understanding, and programs hidden in the shadows. Now, the truth may finally be emerging. This is the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast.
Hell yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Uncovering Anomalies Podcast. Joining me as always is I Have a Need to Know, Adam.
That's right. What's up, everyone?
And I am Topher the Truth. Happy May 17th, everyone. This is episode 164, and we are going to be talking about the Pentyrch UFO Incident. And I hope all of you out there have your hands free so you can put both hands on your butt cheeks and grasp onto them tightly, because this is a big one.
This is a crazy one. And this is Topher's investigation into the Pentyrch UFO incident. It is just wild, absolutely crazy. And I did ask you off air, but I guess, yeah, and you told me you found this while investigating another one of your articles, which is what usually happens, right? These things just come up while you're investigating, which is really awesome. I haven't heard about this one, but it's just so fantastic. You'd think it'd be one of the main ones, like a Rendlesham.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised that this doesn't get more traction. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I was looking into it when I first heard about it and looked up. I was like, I vaguely kind of remember a big UFO thing in 2016. That's when this happened. But
nuts, 2016.
Based on the events that we will unfold today, this was massive. This was a huge sighting and possible likely shoot down and crash of a UFO. So let's head over to Wales. But first, I'll give a little preamble here. I did mention that this happened in 2016, and that's great because it feels like all the major UFO events happened like decades ago. I mean, we've talked about countless ones on the show. Yeah, like the 60s seemed like it was rife full of great UFO events. In fact, 60s, the 70s event we covered last week happened in 1964. I think it was 1964. Yep. And finally, we're here at the 2016 event. But it seems like lately all of these. Hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about 2016, that is modern times. Tic Tac was 2004. We said that's a modern incident. But it's nuts because maybe that's why, because it's 2016. It's so more sci-fi and more modern than other ones. Like we always say, like we're part of the phenomenon. Yeah. So because we have advanced, so now the event has advanced. I don't know. This case is just nuts talking about.
Yeah. I mean, this one's certainly really wackadoo. And that's why I think the 60s ones were all wackadoo too. Everyone was experiencing a new way to enjoy life. Let's put it that way.
Right. Yes, exactly. A lot of drugs.
Right.
A lot of LSD.
What makes this case so compelling is it's driven by citizens. All of the modern UAP events these days seem to be driven by the government, right? I mean, look at the Tic Tac UFO, the Navy pilot videos, and even, I don't know if you remember this. Remember the Chinese spy balloon thing that happened?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, apparently there was a UFO shot down there.
Yeah, over Alaska.
That's right. But all of these come from government-approved sources. Even when you've got Lou Elizondo or whoever's coming out to talk about UAPs, they always have to get it government-approved, right?
This is very true. Yeah, that's who they present to us.
Yeah, exactly. And it just seems kind of like a shame because all of those great stories from the 60s or whatever, those all came from people. And now we're stuck with what I like to call the Disneyfied version of events, where the government controls the narrative from beginning to the end, and so you don't get any of the nuance in there. So today we are talking about the Pentyrch incident, like I said, and this event was so big that the government, try as they might, could not cover it up. And man, there is a lot of cover up. For those of you who go to Topher LS at Substack and read my article, there's a lot of anti-government ranting and raving in the article because I was getting so upset reading about
Especially,
this. Seeing the levels the government stooped to try and cover this up.
I mean, yeah, and especially when you're in this research, you come with that information every single time. So you are going to get frustrated. You are going to become anti-government. So it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, let's dig into it. UFOs come in all shapes and sizes these days, and everyone seems to know about discs, flying discs. Of course, that's the most common UFO. Orbs are becoming more and more common these days. They were previously referred to as Foo Fighters, and now most people just call them orbs. And even cigar shapes, which I feel like don't make the news very often, but we do see those from time to time. But what's scarier, and this has happened several times, especially recently, are these giant flying pyramids.
Damn, dude, flying pyramids, and not just tiny ones.
Not tiny ones. They are massive. In the article, I've got linked to 2 different Reddit posts about 2 different giant pyramids. One was over the Kremlin in Russia, and the other one was the White House, it's the Pentagon. Excuse me. And what's weird is these UFOs don't really tend to, these giant pyramid UFOs, they don't zip zop around like normal, right? They just kind of like appear there. It's truly bizarre. They don't seem to they don't move around all that often either. They sit and they just are eerie, and they just kind of hang out. So during this case, we're going to hear about UFOs, including that pyramid. We're going to hear about large explosions. We're going to hear about a helicopter on fire, dead orbs. We're going to hear about weird snow that we can dive into called angel hair.
Yeah.
But really, this story centers around a hero named Kaz Clark. Civilian, she has been fighting for the truth ever since this happened to her, and she's gone up against the government. And she's been driving the charge to get to the truth here. So in the days leading up to the event, residents of Pentyrch and the surrounding areas were subject to some odd aerial activities. 2 propeller planes in the sky took turns continuously flying low and slow over the area in both large circles and figure-8 formations, as if observing the area or looking for something. This was on right around February 22nd through the 25th. So just tail end.
So they knew something was there.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That seems to be the case. We'll dive into it later, but the government did seem to know what was going on here, or at least they had kind of an idea of what was going on. You'll see. Right. So both these planes were circling, not at the same time. They were taking turns. So when one plane would leave, probably to refuel, the other one would take its place, and they were going over this same doing circles and figure-8s over Pentyrch. For 3 days, this was going on, but the night of the 25th, late of the night, an AWACS plane entered the area. And if you guys know what an AWACS plane is, it looks like an airliner, but it's got like a big mushroom-shaped thing on the back. That's its radar.
Right, the radar, yeah.
Yeah, you guys, everyone's probably seen those in movies. So this AWACS entered the area, and by the few hours later, so on the 26th, but like really early in the morning, right? The ordinary winter night in southern Wales would turn into a science fiction thriller. A large pyramid object appeared over Pentyrch, seemingly materializing in the air rather than entering through conventional means. As most people would guess with UFOs, we see them flying around. You know, it's rare that you just look up in the sky and bam, there's discs sitting there not moving.
It must have been so crazy to see that.
Yeah, it was. And it gets weirder too, because according to witnesses, not just Kaz Clark, but other people who had saw this, it emerged tip first, and it just kind of entered the airspace from somewhere else, some unknown place. It just materialized there.
And how big was this thing?
It wasn't small. It seemed to be larger than the Great Pyramid of Giza, which roughly 1,000 feet long on each side.
Yeah, we have an animation here. You know, maybe it depicts it. Who knows, though? That's just insane. As big as the Pyramid of Giza. Yeah. In the article, I've got a picture of a computer-generated image of what Kaz and Co. saw. That kind of, looks, based on what their descriptions of it were. And it hovered just above the tree line. And of course, in true UFO fashion, it was completely silent. And there were no sounds in the sky. It was just dead silent. So around 2:40 a.m., Kaz Clark and her neighbor Dave, pseudonym,
had seen its odd arrival, and now they watched in shock as it hovered silently above them. At first, there was nothing but a red light above the western edge of a field as they stood by. Then more red lights appeared, forming the edges of the craft. This is the pyramid appearing. Weirdly enough, though, the pyramid wasn't straight up and down. It was leaning to the right excuse me. It was leaning to the right at an angle. Then, and this is weird too, it began to sway back and forth like it was on a giant pendulum.
What?
Yeah. It would swing left, right, left again. As Kaz and Dave retreated to the back gate of Kaz's property to get a better view of the object began to slowly move away from them. When they reached the gate, Kaz could see the craft was just a few feet off the ground and, of course, completely silent. So I'm going to be saying, and then it got weirder, and then it got more bizarre a lot. And I apologize, but this case just keeps escalating. Another thing that was happening that was very odd, it got 5 degrees colder, 5 degrees Celsius colder during that time period that the craft, the giant pyramid, appeared. And that was confirmed by
meteorologist.
Thank you. And Kaz and Dave both noticed the temperature drop, and they confirmed with each other that, man,
that's nuts. Yeah. That happens a lot, in a lot of these cases when there's a presence of these things. The temperature changes, the weather changes too. They can do that.
Kaz would later mention that it felt like the cold was coming from inside of her body rather than the atmosphere actually changing around her. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Weird.
So it was at this point that lights along the underside of the pyramid lit up, which allowed Kaz to see the surface of the craft. Its black edges were not the neatly shaped and smooth metal of a modern aircraft, but instead it looked like it had been cut from rough stone. Again, not unlike the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love to know where that pyramid was on the night of February 26th.
Dude.
So, as the lights on the bottom of the pyramid glowed, a green orb was ejected from the top point as if shot from a weapon. Pew! I think I saw you playing that. Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah. And this green orb was so bright that Kaz had to cover her eyes. But before shooting off into space or whatever, the green orb turned and began to dart around the pyramid UFO in seemingly random directions, appearing almost like it was agitated or was desperately looking for something.
So bizarre, man. Are we sure she's not on drugs?
I mean, she seems like a pretty straight-laced woman from all the interviews and stuff I've watched.
Yeah.
And so at this point, the pyramid almost looked like it was beginning to look for someplace to land, and its bottom tip, one of its bottom tips, began to shoot lightning out. But Kaz mentioned that the lightning didn't seem like your standard typical electrical lightning. It was like thick and it seemed heavy. And it was the way it was hitting the ground almost seemed like it was searching for something, because it was hitting specific points and it was lasting for about 2 seconds on each blast. Very weird. Very, very weird.
Yeah. I mean, what was fucking doing?
So as all this is going on, the military decided to get involved. So they had the planes circling around, remember, but now enter 4 C-17 aircraft. Again, C-17 aircraft, everyone, you've seen them in the movies. They're big fat planes. They're the fuselage is typically empty on the inside because they can transport troops or tanks or whatever on the inside. Yeah,
they're huge. Exactly. They're cargo planes.
Yeah, big fat cargo planes. So these 4 C-17 aircraft entered the airspace from the west, flying at an unusually low altitude. The bright green orb that had shot out of the top of the pyramid paused, then it flashed brightly, and then quickly moved west toward Llantrisant, which caused the 4 C-17s to quickly turn, as quick as you can in a C-17, I imagine.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Basically, they had to U-turn and go back the way they came, because that's the way the orb went, back towards Llantrisant, back to the west.
What the hell?
And that's not the end of that story. We're going to put that part aside, because Kaz has more to what happened to her.
Yeah, poor thing. Well, yeah, let's see what happened to her.
So once the planes turned and they were leaving, the pyramid once again began to fade away, dematerialize, if you will, into whatever space it was came from.
Okay.
But before it could fully fade, more objects were launched from the pyramid UFO into the sky across the field. Now, these new UFOs or UAPs were red and were they were about the shape of and the size of a barrel. And As Kaz finally thought to pull her phone out and film what was going on, you'll never guess, phone was completely dead.
What?
Now, of course, right? So now one thing I could not figure out, and if I got to start thinking to do this, to start reaching out to the actual source, especially 2016, and Kaz is obviously still around and still kicking. I should have just sent her a message and asked. I wanted to know if her phone was back on after all of this was over, or she remembered.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't see anything in the interviews about that. I'm sure someone else has asked, but I might have missed it, or I just didn't get to the right interview. Anyway, these red barrel UFOs were shot out of the giant pyramid, and 2 of them came to float in front of Kaz and her neighbor Dave. They were about 30 feet away, and I think about eye level. I'm not positive on that, but they were about 30 feet away, and Kaz and Dave realized that they were paralyzed. They could move their eyes, but they could not move. And she made sure to clarify that it wasn't because of fear. There was an outside force that completely locked her and Dave into place.
Wow, man. So scary.
Yeah. So as the red barrels floated in front of her, Kaz got to take a better look at the objects. It looks like you got it up there. Cool. So by her description, these sound awfully similar to descriptions given by those who have seen orbs up close. For those of you who haven't listened or watched or read any documentaries about Skinwalker Ranch, when they talk about the orbs, it's a very, very similar description to this. Outside of the objects were clear, but the insides were full of a constantly shifting and swirling light, and she compared it to the static on an old television. And whatever light show was going on inside the barrels kept forming patterns, like the object was alive or trying to communicate. The barrel in front of Dave remained still, and Kaz could feel the barrel studying the both of them. But then the barrel in front of Kaz turned green, like it was switching to a different channel. Or I made a joke here, or she gave the right answer or didn't give the right answer, or she was being told the barrel's favorite color, or being told to go at a 4-way intersection. Who knows?
Who knows? Exactly. It didn't kill her, so
it didn't kill her. It didn't kill her, but it did seem to do something to her. The green light washed over her and Dave, and they could feel it pass. The light passed through them like they were being scanned. And for about 30 seconds, the pair could feel a slight tingle throughout their bodies. Time seemed to move slower. And once the light faded, both Kaz and Dave felt great. They weren't scared, and they actually were energized and upbeat, and they had this strange desire to talk about whatever had happened. So now that the red or green barrels were done doing whatever they were doing, the barrels took to the sky, flying up over the trees and again towards Llantrisant. Once the barrels departed, Kaz and Dave found they could move again. Though they wanted to pursue whatever was going on, they realized that trekking through the wilderness in the middle of a winter night was a bad idea. Again, this was at around 2:40 in the morning. So once Kaz returned home, obviously she was feeling really strange. She discovered some further odd stuff. The first was that she had lost a chunk of time. Very common. We've talked about it like almost every UFO case. Missing time's a huge part. Though she and Dave had only been outside for about 15 minutes or so she thought, the clock said it was nearly 4 a.m. So again, this started at about 2:40 a.m. And if she was outside for 15 minutes, it should have been like right around 3 o'clock in the morning. Instead, it was 4. So she had lost, an hour there, which, in a situation like this, I'm always curious to know, like when someone is losing time like that, are they standing still and like their brain just jumps ahead essentially, or do they leave and then come back?
No, I think it's like sleepwalking kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where, you're kind of conscious, but you're not.
That makes sense. The other thing that she noticed, and this is truly bizarre, is one of her hairs had turned completely white. Not gray.
Oh my God.
But completely white.
Yeah. In the past, or in like folklore, in some folklores, they say like someone gets a white hair like that they saw the devil. So very interesting. Maybe
that's
related to to abductions.
There actually was more that happened to Kaz that she would discover in the years after. I don't have it written down. Of course, I don't have it memorized either, but I'm trying to remember what it happened. She discovered that her body was emitting a strange signal when she was going to the doctor later. very weird stuff. All right.
So she said, did it come from the signal? So how'd she know a signal is coming from inside of her?
See, I'm trying to remember the details.
Yeah.
Of course,
we have it. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, and of course, everyone who is looking along or is interested in more info, if you go to my article, I list all the sources I use at the very bottom. So you can go scrub that and find more information if you're interested.
Very nice, man. I mean, you did a very thorough investigation of this from many different sources. It would have been great if you reached out to her as well. You did include an interview that she did.
Yes.
It's only a minute though, huh? The Cardifian. That's her.
This is part of it.
Oh, okay. Part of a much longer one.
Yeah.
Just above me here in the gate. And the only thing that I could think to do was wave, because with all the
I don't know, can you hear that?
Military activity that went on that.
Yeah, it's not, you can't hear it?
No.
You can turn up your earphones.
Oh, it's turned up all the way.
Night.
That's okay.
I can hear it.
Appear to be hostile. And I felt it scan me.
I felt it scan me, she said. Wait, let me put on the subtitles just in case. I do have it up much higher though.
Okay.
In my headphones.
It like something had reached in and took the fear away from me. It was almost euphoric. The object above me turned from tail light red to traffic light green, and I could see even clearer the insides moving. The red one had stayed red the whole time. The green object then moved, the green barrel, across the rooftops to my right hand side here. And the still red object had moved away to my left-hand side, low across the fields, and I watched it until I couldn't see it anymore. And then we heard the helicopters coming. There were 3 Apache helicopters, and we'd run around the side here to get a better look across the valley. One flying above 2 in a triangle formation. And
damn, man, what that is! I believe her, dude. She's really good.
Yeah,
I don't think she's making it up.
She doesn't strike me. Everything I've seemed to read, and like what actually I found really interesting is on a lot of these videos, or they're talking about other podcasts or YouTube channels that have covered this. Always in the comments, there's a bunch of people saying, "Oh, I know her," or "My mom knows her, and she's so nice and so great."
Yeah.
She doesn't strike me as like the crazy person or whatever.
Yeah.
All right, so this event wasn't just contained to Pentyrch. We kind of alluded to that earlier when I was talking about the green orb.
Right.
That green orb that shot off to the west that was chased by C-17s was just the beginning of how this whole event started for many people. While Kaz and Dave were getting scanned by barrel-shaped objects, Llantrisant's part in the story was just beginning. The police station in Cardiff, which is Wales' largest city and capital to the southeast, was being completely flooded by citizens calling in to report the chaos that was happening in the skies above. Residents in the area were reporting aircraft flying so low that the walls were shaking. There were lights outside that were so bright they shone through covered windows, and there were even explosions loud enough to shake buildings. In fact, there was a nurse from Royal Glamorgan Hospital, which is just outside Llantrisant, reported a large explosion accompanied by the smell of sulfur, which was followed by smoke that trailed in through the windows and vents. So something really big happened, and it happened nearby.
Oh, was that sulfur smell?
Rotten eggs.
Yeah,
that's sulfur.
I'm saying always in these events you have that sulfur smell.
Correct. Yes, that's also true. She thought there was a bomb that had gone off. That's how big the explosion was.
Damn.
And the green orb, other residents would report seeing it in the night sky, moving not like a machine, but instead like it was alive, being trailed by aircraft before being shot down. And so again, remember there were 2 planes circling overhead at the very beginning. Then an AWACS joined, and then these 4 C-17s joined in, and then people were reporting more aircraft than that. There were people talking about planes, helicopters, everything. I mean,
Apaches.
I can't stress how many aircraft were seen in the early hours of February 26th. Right. There was a ton.
It was more than just an exercise, basically.
Right. Plus, you had a pyramid UFO that was also shooting off other UFOs.
Orbs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolute insanity.
Yeah, and barrel orbs scanning them, orbs chasing C-117s. I mean, yeah,
just crazy stuff. I also found this weird piece of evidence that I don't know how to quantify this, but this is what was reported. Children of the families in this whole area slept through the entire event. So while parents phoned the police and were trying to stay away from windows because they thought the windows are going to shatter or explode, right? Kids slept soundly. Despite the commotion of explosions, low-flying aircraft, and bright lights outside, kids slept all the way through it.
And that is a bizarre fact, isn't it?
Yeah. And after, go ahead.
I'm gonna say that doesn't make sense. They're usually,
light sleepers.
Yeah, especially when it comes to explosions and stuff. They're up.
Yeah. So those who were already adults in 2016, they remember that night very well, obviously. And because of how loud and all the craziness that was going on outside, it was really difficult to sleep. So the fact, that the kids weren't waking up, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Just weird stuff. So the many aircraft in the area can technically be explained by several things, and as you just said, they'll go on to say it was a training exercise, and maybe that technically could be an excuse for that amount of aircraft in the area. But the thing that can't really be explained by this were there were 2 explosions heard. I read a number of conflicting reports, but it seems to be the agreed upon amount was 2 explosions.
2 explosions.
The first was so loud that it shook buildings and it sounded like thunder, but more sharp. And the second was described as the sound of a large impact, like something crashing. The primary explosion was so large that it would register on seismographs over 40 miles away. So big explosion.
Okay. And was it what do you think that was then? I think it was the orb being shot out. I don't know. I mean,
it seems to me,
shoot it down or something, or try to shoot it down.
Yeah, that'd be my guess. Or I don't think they tried to. It sounds like they were successful, as we'll continue to see. So Kaz started searching and she got more and more questions. In the following morning, just hours after the event, remember, sorry if I keep repeating myself, everyone. This is just how I think. This happened on the 26th in the wee hours of the morning. So when I say the following morning, I just mean it's been a couple hours. That's it.
Right.
Kaz and Dave were joined by another one of their neighbors, a guy named Steve. And they decided to go check out the field where the giant pyramid UFO had appeared in the hours before. So they expected to find like scorched earth markings where the lightning from the pyramid had struck the ground, but instead they saw that all the vegetation underneath the path of the pyramid was now brown and lifeless. And weirder than that, so remember, this was a field and it was surrounded by trees. The trees around the field were half dead. The sides that faced the field where the UFO was, those sides of the trees were dead. The sides of the trees facing away from where the UFO was, still fine. Now, also in this field was the quote-unquote snow. I had to Google this, but winter in Wales is mostly free of snow unless you get up into higher elevation. Where they were in Wales, there isn't much snow, and if there is, it doesn't stick around. So for those of you who've seen light snow where it just melts within a couple hours, that's the snow that the Pentyrch area gets.
Right.
But over this field, it was snowing, but the snow wasn't snow. It was this weird spongy material. Kaz said it didn't melt on the skin like it normally would, and instead it would evaporate into nothing.
So bizarre.
So not snow.
So it's not really snow then.
No.
It just looks like snow.
No, we'll talk about that right now, actually. She said the snow looked and felt like spongy pellets.
Huh.
So for those of you who don't know, this phenomenon, the quote-unquote snow, is not uncommon in relation to UFOs and is typically known as angel hair.
Angel hair, that's right.
Yeah. There have been many documented examples of this, many of which happened in Europe during the 1950s, which I found bizarre.
Yeah,
Portugal.
Like fibers.
Portugal 1959, Florence 1954, and France 1952 are all examples of the strange unidentified falling objects.
Yeah.
It was also reported in Portugal in 1917 during the Miracle of the Sun or the Miracle of Fatima. And that event is worth a whole nother article. We don't have to dive into that.
Yeah, we did a deep dive on Fatima.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. So the problem with this is we don't really know what it is. Supposedly, some of this stuff from the 1954 event was collected, studied, and found to be a mixture of boron, silicon, calcium, and magnesium. While some speculate that is leftovers or exhaust from an unknown means of propulsion, others believe that angel hair is just their remains of spider webs used by spiders to fly around. And yes, they do that. It's disgusting. Terrible.
Yes, they do.
I actually want to send you something that I received from Gary Jones in relation to this. Do you want to pause really quick? So Gary Jones was an investigator on this case, and he graciously read my article and corrected me on a few things. And then he followed up with a theory on what the angel hair is. High EMF from the craft, energy loss. I guess I could read this whole thing. High EMF from the craft strips electrons off air molecules, making ions. Energy loss as electrons are slipped and ions interact. Localized cooling. Ions act as nucleation sites. Water vapor sticks to them at lower humidity than normal. Lifted into low cloud layer, then falls. Water freezes onto them fast, forming grapple with that dense pellet spongy texture. So that's a possible explanation of what angel hair is. Thank you, Gary, for sending that my way. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that's very cool. Do you have any images of angel hair here? No,
I don't, but I believe on the article, if you I've got all the previous events in the 50s linked. I bet if you clicked on those, you'll be able to find it.
Yeah, that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah. And I think if I remember correctly, Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say these are great theories of what it is, actually. Really good theories.
The Florence 1954 event, that's a really fun one. We probably talked about on the show. A UFO stopped a soccer match.
Yep. We talked about that one.
Yeah, I didn't realize there was angel hair involved with that one, but very cool. So back to Kaz, Dave, and Steve. Once they realized something real and serious had happened, they got the hell out of there, which is really smart. Naturally, they then decided to follow the path of the UFO the night before. Never mind, not so smart. They drove west toward Llantrisant, because the common had been used as a pseudo junkyard for old and unwanted machinery. It was typically full of metal and broken appliances scattered about the place. But when Kaz and the crew arrived, they saw something weird. The broken down equipment was now neatly organized next to the road, like the junk had been searched and sorted. There was also police crime scene tape hung up around the area, but not placed in a perimeter to cordon off the area like normal. Instead, it was just kind of hanging from random places and wasn't accomplishing anything. Now, the three, continuing their investigation, came across a man who had been walking his dog at 4:30 that morning. Why so early? I'm assuming it had to do with all the chaos going on.
And absolutely.
I'm not sleeping. Yeah. But he had seen military helicopters landing in the Commons that morning, just a couple hours before, dropping off troops. And the troops had been armed with metal detectors and seemed to be searching for a crashed object in the Smilog Woods. So of course,
shot it down, didn't they?
Without hesitation, the mystery gang headed there next and immediately found some sort of crash site. Trees had been snapped in half about halfway up their heights. And these weren't small trees either. These are big, heavy trees. A wind isn't going to split them in half. It's something hitting it with serious weight and speed to it. Do you really quickly? Do you have the article handy? I've got a picture of the map, just so we can get a general idea. Yeah, I don't know if you can. Here's Pentyrch over here on the bottom right. You've got Llantrisant. The Commons is right above Llantrisant, as you can see there. And to the left, you got Smilog Woods. So this is where all of this is happening. And it seemed to be happening, like all of this was going to the northwest, right?
Smilog. Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings.
It does. Yeah. Pentyrch was first. And then, the orb headed towards Llantrisant, and then there was explosions, and people were looking for crash site in Smilog Woods, right? So whatever this event was, it seemed to be happening going to the northwest.
Yeah.
So let's start to talk about the government cover-up. It happened almost immediately. So
of course,
in the middle of the night, people were, you can still find these tweets and stuff today. People were tweeting and calling the police, as we mentioned earlier, but going like, what the hell is going on, in the skies? It's so loud, can't sleep, all this other stuff. And Wales Online, which is the paper that Pseudo covered the event, they put out like a quick blurb saying, there's something going on. We will keep you guys updated. Of course, they deleted that little blurb and the update they gave was propaganda, as we'll see. Let's see. Okay. Traffic in the South Wales area was shut down. They put up roadblocks. They had personnel blocking off roads, and public areas were closed to the populace. And they said they were doing this because a truck had overturned. They shut down a big part of South Wales, and their excuse was a truck.
Okay. What kind of truck? Maybe we can make it more believable.
I don't know. I'm assuming they must have said it was like a chemical truck or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But of course, no one in the area really bought this story, which led to more and more people trying to figure out what was going on. You've heard of the Llantrisant effect, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's exactly what this was here. So Smilog Woods. Let's finally talk about Smilog Woods. That's where the crash site was found, right? It's a public area, and it can't be closed without explicit permission. But instead, the military had completely locked it down. There was no one in or out. Military patrols even started in the area to enforce the no-go zone. But here's the kicker. There were a couple people who had been camping that night in the woods, and they were illegally assaulted, detained, questioned, searched, forcibly removed, and even had their phones completely wiped. So complete abuse of power by the government here, of course.
They're just there to help. The government's there to help.
I'm from the government. I'm here to help. That's what I even named this chapter.
Yeah.
But this is when I, start getting really pissed off and was writing anti-government messages in the article. Because all they have to do is they say, "Oh, it's national security," and then they just think they can do whatever they want. It's so exactly. Frustrating.
Yeah, anything for national security. It's always the excuse.
Yeah. Okay, so it gets weirder now again. The next morning, a large group of men set up camp in the field behind Kaz Clark's property.
Yeah.
When Kaz and company, now including Donna, so you've got Kaz, you got Dave, Steve, and Donna, they went to go investigate these men. Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? They saw really quickly that this was a terrible, terrible cover-up by the government. Even though they had no military uniforms on, the men were heavily armed with a military-type weaponry, right? Assault rifles, yada, yada, yada. Yep. All the tents they had set up, even though they were technically civilian tents, they were lined up in perfect rows and highly organized in a way that military personnel would set up.
Yep, it's like military.
Yeah, and their cover story, which would change, this is their original cover story, it didn't make any sense. They said they were part of a fracking survey, and even though fracking is not allowed in that part of Wales.
Right.
So Kaz would
that reminds me of Aztec, by the way. That's what they said when they were looking for the Aztec craft. They thought, "Oh, we're just speculators looking for oil."
Yeah, absolutely absurd. Kaz would say, "You can take the man out of the army, but you can't take the army out of the man."
Yeah, very true.
So someone must have got wind that their cover story was not going to hold, because the story quickly changed. No longer were they fracking surveyors. Instead, they worked for a telecommunications company and were checking cell phone towers.
Okay, nice one. Nice switch there.
Yeah, and this explanation maybe kind of could have worked, but the problem is the men were still operating out of tents and carrying heavy machinery, including weapons. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
No.
Unless we're back in the COVID days where people were shooting at and burning down cell phone towers, it really doesn't make any sense for them to be armed.
No.
Another thing, though, a lot of the the telecom workers that were camping in this field for some reason were wearing hazmat suits, and they were carrying around metal detectors, and they were testing the ground. And anytime someone approached them to say, "Hey, what's going on? What are you guys doing?" These quote unquote telecom workers would just stop and stare at the people and not say anything until the people moved on. So they were super subtle.
Yeah.
The Pentyrch UFO incident was such a huge event spread over a large area that not everything could be hidden, collected, and lied about by the government.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of what you've listened to above, this was taken not only from Kaz, but other witnesses as well. And there's another little side plot here. A man who was driving through the Pentyrch area came across an apparent debris field from one of the glowing red barrels that Kaz Clark had described during her experiences. Strewn across the road was a scattering of red and white crystals, which looked like glass, but was much thicker and heavier. So something got shot down here, it seems like.
Yeah.
And then another quick side jaunt here. Witnesses reported the emergency landing of an Apache helicopter at Cardiff Airport with its cockpit on fire due to, in quotes, mechanical failure.
Ooh,
however,
we got a scene for that.
However, this same Apache had been seen taking off from the Ministry of Defense Royal Air Force Base just a few minutes after the explosions were first reported during the night of the Pentyrch UFO incident. This helicopter had made several trips back and forth between the base and the crash site as if it had been transporting something.
Mm-hmm.
And based on further evidence, it does seem like the military found something important, because at dawn, a very special plane was seen landing, then leaving. An hour later, a BAE-146 jet. You don't have to know what that looks like. It's just a fancy jet with the call sign Kitty Hawk. This plane is well known to only fly high-level government officials such as the Prime Minister or the royal family.
What?
So
all right, man.
Something important was happening in southern Wales.
Absolutely, yes. There's no doubt now. I mean, that's just too much evidence.
Yeah. Well, you want to hear some more evidence? Because I've got plenty.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So, Kaz Clark, like a great, strong, smart, intelligent UFO researcher, began documenting everything she could. She was talking to witnesses. She was writing down what she saw, heard, smelled. I don't know about smelled, but you get the
right.
point.
Yes. Who, what, where, when?
Yeah. She even had the pictures of the telecommunications men who were camping in the field behind her house. Yeah. And you're gonna love this. She began filing FOIA reports.
Aha, nice,
Yes.
Kaz.
So locals in the area were confused about what happened in the early hours of the 26th and were eager for some answers. Kaz's search for answers would largely lead to more questions, all while she uncovered the lies and deceit spouted by the government. On the morning of the 26th, the military released a statement about the morning's activities, in a move completely unprecedented and never used as an excuse to cover up UAP activities. They claim that everything that had happened was a biannual training operation called Exercise Chameleon.
Okay.
So, like you joked earlier, they always say there's some sort of exercise going on, right? Or some sort of training mission. And in fact, when we covered, what was the one 2 weeks ago? The guy and the two cops. What was it? What was his name? Muscarello.
Wait.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The same thing. The government said, "Oh, it was probably Operation Big Blast." I can remember the name of the operation, but not.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
Anyway,
it was at the near Air Force Base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Exercise Chameleon is a special forces training operation which involves several branches of the Royal Military Services working in conjunction with one another. So it's important to note that we do know that this exercise does exist, but we don't know the exact details because it's, top secret military training, right? Yada, yada, yada.
Right.
So other people have seen sessions of Exercise Chameleon, and they always seem to be lacking several things. Large, low-flying military aircraft flying over civilian areas. That doesn't happen during Exercise Chameleon. Explosions big enough to shake the walls of nearby buildings, also not part of Exercise Chameleon. And flaming Apache helicopters making emergency landings at civilian airports, not usually a part of Exercise Chameleon.
Right.
So in true government...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and the plane, right, of the Prime Minister. I mean, was that part of it?
No, of course not.
Yeah.
So in true government fashion, everything got much stupider and much more confusing. And I believe that's exactly how it's designed, right? Just cause confusion, throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Yep.
When Kaz filed the FOIA report, and just so everyone knows, FOIA is not a U.S. exclusive right. I'd forgotten about that. When she filed her report to gather information about the military's presence in the area on February 26th, 2016, from the Ministry of Defense, they now claim the military had not been in the area on that date, even though they had just said that they had been there for training exercise.
You are kidding me. What is wrong? Dude, that is just insane. That makes no sense.
Oh, it gets stupider. When they were pushed again, the Ministry of Defense claimed that actually they were there on that date, but they couldn't disclose details due to national security. There we go.
Of course. Thanks. Yep. National security. Get out of jail free card.
They also claim that, and they were incorrect about this, that they didn't need permission or to give notice to the fact that they were in the area conducting this training operation. That's a lie. The government absolutely must notify the public before they do anything in the area, partially to avoid this exact thing, causing panic to a public unaware of any exercises. If this was a training mission and you're going to be doing explosions at 3 a.m, you need to tell the public that that's going on.
Of course, yeah. All democracies do that. They say they always announce that there's an exercise that's going to happen, and they say the dates and the times just so people don't freak out.
Yes. At my old job, I worked nearby a military base, and there was always bombings going on. I mean, everyone, you know, because you go, okay, we live next to a military base. Those large booms are just them doing whatever they're doing, but you know.
Exactly. And you can always look it up. Look it up.
Yes.
Yeah, that is going on there. So that's a good point.
Yeah, and not only, you know, to avoid causing panic, but you need written permission for all exercise on private land at least 3 weeks before these operations began. And of course, they didn't get permission or notify any landowner in the area.
Which means there was never an exercise being
correct. So, more stuff to piss you off. More things would come with the government's response. When they were asked about the pile of scrap metal and electronics that was gathered and organized from Llantrisant Common, the government would declare they couldn't explain because of national security. And in fact, all of the metal and electronics there were now classified. And if you remember that Smilog Woods was a public area, it had been essentially locked down and shut down by the military. The owners of the Smilog Woods are Natural Resources Wales, which is the Welsh government's body for the management of natural resources, right? They're in charge of making sure all the public parts are okay and all that. They said they gave absolutely zero permission for military operations, which includes explosions, or even the closure of that area. In their response to a FOIA request, they wrote that not only was no permission granted, if there had been any kind of military operation, there would have been a permission request.
Right.
So they were not notified, told anything. They let alone ask for permission.
National security.
Yeah, national security. So Kaz started looking for information outside of the Ministry of Defense. If you recall, the loud explosions, presumably from the shoot down and crash of a UFO, heard from Royal Glamorgan Hospital, shook the building's walls. It startled patients awake, and even left smoke in the air. Smelled like sulfur, rotten eggs. When informational requests, oh man, I've just got pissed off. I forgot how stupid this next part is. When informational requests were asked of the hospital, the response was yet another confusing mess. First, the hospital responded by saying they had not been warned about that night's supposed training exercises, not from the police, the military, or any other form of government. Soon after, they would contradict themselves and say that the South Wales police had warned them about counterterrorism training that was to occur that night. The hospital apologized for the error in their previous statement, the first one where they said they had no idea what was going on, because they had gathered new information. They had an excerpt, and they released an excerpt from an email about training operations that would run from 11 p.m. the previous night to 3 a.m. the morning of the 26th. So convenient, right?
Very convenient.
When a UFO investigator, Gary Jones, asked to see the email to confirm their statement, Royal Glamorgan Hospital claimed that they didn't have the email. So how in the world did they release an excerpt from an email they did not have?
Yeah, exactly. It didn't exist.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
Now, let's go on another one of these side journeys here. There was a journalist who worked for Wales Online, and she'd been there for a long time, 15 years or so. She was the one that had released the original statement that night saying, oh, we'll let you know what's going on. And then she later would release the article saying, "Oh, it was all operation or train. What was it called? Exercise Chameleon." And so she was kind of like leading that propaganda piece for the government. She quit her job at Wales Online and became the communications officer of the Royal Glamorgan Hospital. So she went from pushing propaganda through her journalism to working in the marketing department of an organization that was also involved in the exact same cover-up.
Well, there you go. That's what she was doing.
Yeah. So, of course, Kaz saw that the hospital said, "Oh yeah, the police told us there was counterterrorism training, right?" So she contacted the police, filed a FOIA with them, and she supposedly like contacted them like 11 times saying, "I need this information. There's a FOIA. Tell us about this counterterrorism training thing that was going on."
Yeah.
So when they finally responded to her FOIA request, they gave the standard non-answer. The police said they can neither confirm nor deny events that occurred in the early hours of the 26th. For those of you who don't know, that response is not allowed when responding to a FOIA request. An entity responding to a FOIA must either provide the requested information or confirm that they do not have any information. So you can't neither confirm nor deny. That's not how FOIA works. But later, the police chief of the South Wales Police would go on to say that his officers were never part of any counterterrorism training exercises in February.
There we go. Another lie.
In fact, their counterterrorism training had instead taken place the previous June. Did anyone tell the truth in this case? It doesn't seem like it.
And that's what I mean. So something this big, and like you mentioned, that's over such a huge parts of the geography and so many resources used. It's almost impossible to cover it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's dumb that they would even try, and they didn't even, it seemed like they didn't even try that hard. They didn't get everyone on the same page or anything.
Very good point. Good point. They just say lie and don't care to go, figure out how to plug the hole.
It's just like so much of this is half-assed. I can't believe it. Everything from like when they have police tape hanging up and they're supposed to cordon off an area. That's what you use police tape for. They didn't do that right. They picked a cover story for the military. They said, "Oh, we're doing a fracking survey," without knowing that fracking is illegal. I mean, all of these cover-ups between the police, the hospital, the military, government, none of them, are telling lies that are easily disproven. It's absurd. So, despite all this, Kaz kept pursuing the truth, which led her to the Ministry of Defense website. As she searched for any documentation about Exercise Chameleon, they came across something very interesting: a notice to airmen, or a NOTAM. So NOTAMs are used to let commercial and civilian pilots of airspaces, lets them know that they can't enter that space. That's the way it keeps the military in a certain area and doesn't let civilians enter. There's no cause for collisions. It just keeps everyone safe, right?
Right.
This particular NOTAM was filed just 9 hours before the Pyramid UFO appeared. However, NOTAMs are required to be filed 5 days before any military exercises in order to give pilots time to adjust their courses. But the other problem with this NOTAM was that military craft threw as many as 50 miles outside of the NOTAM that they filed. And that's incredibly dangerous, right? You cordon areas so you can use that airspace without the risk of crashing into others or whatever. So if you leave that, there's a chance of collisions and people getting hurt.
Exactly, especially 90 miles.
Yeah, 50 miles.
50 miles.
But again, here we go. The government was found not only lying, but also performing activities dangerously and illegally. Now, last piece of the big evidence. The Ministry of Defense's highest authority, the Air Commission Secretariat, would release a statement in response to a FOIA request. "I can confirm that no information in the scope of your request is held. There were no programmed air defense exercises in South Wales in February 2016. There was no official military operation in place that night."
Yep, there it is. And that just shows everyone, But, the U.S. would never do that. The U.S. would just keep the lie going,
Yeah, of course.
So what's their answer then? All right, so they didn't have that. So what happened?
Official answer?
Yeah.
Exercise Chameleon.
Even though there was no exercises.
Correct. But the government doesn't have to answer to the people, do they?
Right. No, they don't. Dude, what an amazing case.
So
just from beginning to the end, if we're at the end. So what's she up to?
Just to sum up this whole thing, just keep it in people's minds fresh. Kaz Clark and many others saw something spectacular that night on February 26, 2016. When Kaz and company went looking for answers, they came across the government lying and hindering their progress every step of the way. Not only was the Ministry of Defense caught lying, the media, the police, and even a damn hospital were also caught lying. Laws were proven to be broken. People's justified questions were dismissed as conspiracies, and a large-scale cover-up was unearthed. And what happened to the government that lied to the people? Nothing.
Of course, they're always immune from any of this stuff.
Are always immune.
Yeah.
I won't. We don't. That's pretty much it. We don't have to read the closing part of my article. It is literally just me talking about how terrible the government is. This just another extremely. I mean, it's a very cool case. I do believe Kaz Clark. She seems. You can watch her interviews. She's been on podcasts. I think she believes what she's saying
about it.
Yeah. Honestly, she seems like someone who's looking for the truth. That's it.
I mean, don't just listen to what she's saying, but look at her actions. Look what she did. Look what how far she went with the investigation to say, no, this wasn't a military exercise. I know what I saw, and it wasn't just the pyramid, but it's the orb as well. It's those barrels that came to her and started scanning her. It's everything else that comes with that. I mean, something strange happened, and it's not just some normal exercise called exercise chameleon.
Yeah, I mean, it just beyond frustrating how many lies and how much deceit there was. I even found the Whales Online article that said, it's like it had some cheesy ass headline where it was like, here's something weird over the skies, it's just a training exercise or something like that. Like, you gotta be shitting me.
But this event just seems like more of an AI kind of intelligence instead of like a biological one. It just that's what it just feels to me. It just because it's so sci-fi and so, I don't know, everything is automated, right? I mean, was there anything with beings in this? No beings. Okay,
not as far as I saw. And like this is true UAP weirdness, high strangeness, the woo-woo, because none of it makes any kind of sense.
No, it doesn't.
Is this your animation or
no,
is this
this is the other? Yeah,
this was great. This was actually the first thing I watched. Because I was like, I just, typed in Pentyrch in YouTube, and this was one of the first ones that popped up. And there's no dialogue or anything. But it's just a CGI, and for those who aren't watching, it's a CGI animation of the whole event. I think it's about 30 minutes long. Recommend everyone go take a look if you want another visualization of what happened, because it's weird. This whole thing it just makes no sense. Why were kids not woken up? Why couldn't they wake up during this whole thing?
Right.
Did the government actually find what they were looking for? And it seems like they did, because as we noted that someone high in the government was flown into Pentyrch, or near Pentyrch.
Exactly. Yeah, and the way they closed off the roads and into the woods, and those guys who were camping out saying that they're telecom guys, it's just filled with the typical UFO crash retrieval event. Now, they didn't get the pyramid, obviously, because I think that thing was huge, but they got something that came out of that pyramid.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another. Yes. Yeah. I know I talked about cigar-shaped UFOs in the beginning briefly, and I think that's the only time only other type of UFO I've heard of that spits out other UFOs. That's a pretty rare phenomena.
Yeah. We saw it doing the drone flap. If you remember, in New Jersey, there was a lot of weird ones like that.
So cool, man.
So dude, cool. What a crazy case. What a crazy case. That's like, first of all, again, I can't believe I haven't heard of it. Second of all like the UFO channels that I usually get for not Y-Files, but these other historical ones that I like to go to, they didn't have any interviews with her, and they're really good at that. So that means this is very a not very well-known case.
I think there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to keep a lid on this one.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, we saw the lengths the government went to try and cover this up. And I apologize for my studying through trying to read. I don't know what's going on with my brain today.
No, you're good, man. That was a great investigation. Well done. Great article. Especially that you got one of the, chief investigators of this reaching out to you is a big deal, I think.
That was really cool. Yeah, shout out to Gary
cool.
Jones. That was really cool.
And you followed it up and everything. I mean, we can even interview him, see what is there an update? If there's an update with this case, if he's still doing it. Yeah. You should.
I couldn't believe it. Come on. I posted my article. I shared it on X, and like the next morning, I had a message from Gary saying, "Good article, a couple of inaccuracies here," and I was like, "That is so cool!" Like, obviously, no one likes making mistakes, but to get corrected by a fellow UFO researcher who actually worked on the case, not a fellow, a superior UFO researcher who worked on the case.
Really cool. You're on your way to becoming an investigative journalist.
Yeah, maybe one day I can turn this into a paid career. That'd be sweet.
Just like this guy.
Yeah, except I hope I do a better job than this asshole.
He was man. I haven't watched this interview, but last night I watched it. I'm like, dude, why is he being such a dick to Chris? Like, I'm like, it's just weird. He was being such a dick. And I thought he was drunk or something. He kept saying no. Whenever Chris would say something, he'd be like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy? Like, and Chris was so cool with him and so calm and patient. And
his documentary just came out, and he's been celebrating too hard. No, I haven't watched the interview either, but reading a lot of comments on
I
Reddit.
watched it. Yeah, I watched it last night.
Reading a lot of comments on Reddit basically said what you said, is they were like, wow, Chris is really patient for him, and they thought Corbell was he was on drugs, but maybe he was drunk. I don't know.
I only say drunk because I've seen already 3 episodes. He goes on like either radio or maybe other podcasts that are set up like radios, but he's just, you see him and he's grabbing a beer. Always he's grabbing it and drinking it like really quick before. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying he does do it, so it might be that he did it with even Nap, one of Nap's episode with Nap. He's like, oh, you want to have some beers? So it's there. He doesn't hide it. And some people are just angry when they're drunk, so maybe that's why.
It's true,
right?
Some people record podcasts.
Hey, man. Look at, so many people record podcasts drunk, actually. What am I talking about? Rogan and all those dudes, those dude podcasts. Yeah.
Well, hopefully they remember what they've covered. I did not realize we talked about Fatima.
Oh, yeah. We did it after Magenta. After the Magenta deep dive, we did the Fatima deep dive.
Yeah, that's a really cool one. A lot of the other UFO events that I reference in the article are really fun ones. Yeah, but yeah, I'm surprised. This should be a bigger name. Like, I think this is up there with Betty and Barney Hill.
I
think this is up there with the Ariel School Encounter. And
definitely
both of those ones, you don't have the government cover-up side. I mean, people were watching government cover-up happen live, like in real time.
It's insane. It really is such a crazy case. I'm so glad that we did it. Really.
Yeah.
And now it's something that I can refer to as well, because it had every single element in it. That's the crazy thing about it. It's like except for aliens, I guess. Or right. Was that there? Because in that animation, it showed some alien. I never showed it because I didn't see it in your article. So
I don't think so. Maybe there are other witnesses that I missed said they witnessed people. Oh, something I forgot to mention, just because I was kind of paraphrasing that article. Kaz's hair would turn completely white. Her whole head would go completely white like a day later. So it started with just that
day later.
Yeah, like that one hair that she noticed after seeing the UFOs was white. Like the next day, her head was completely white.
That's like an electric effect for sure. Whoa, that is truly bizarre. It just keeps giving this case. Well,
man.
You should see if Gary Jones wants to get on. Maybe just a quick one, like an update. See if anything new has come out.
Well, I'm on tweeting terms with him, so I can reach out.
Yeah, you can DM him for sure if he's open to it. It'd be fun. Nice, dude. Well done with that. I thoroughly enjoyed that case. It is just mind blowing. And who knows what the hell happened there, and who knows what the government got out of it. If they downed the craft, that thing must have been so advanced. Man,
and there's something interesting that you pointed out at the very top, that the government did seem to know that something was going to happen there. I mean, they were scoping out. It's interesting because they were scoping out the area for a couple of days before it arrived, and then also the NOTAM, even though they filed it late, it was still 9 hours before the Pentyrch event, so they had some sort of idea that something was going to happen.
Sure.
I don't think, but just based on the evidence, the shooting stuff down and planes and helicopters flying all over the place, and the military looking for things, it doesn't seem like they knew exactly what was going to happen. They just knew something was going to happen. Yes,
and that happens a lot too, by the way. When they were describing some videos with a Russian UAP videos with a Russian crew out in the ocean, saying that it seemed like the Russians knew these triangles were going to show up, and they were there waiting for them. So there must be something like that. Maybe these things are, have to be involved somehow with the management of the planet or something like that. So if it is, maybe that's why it seems very AI as well, right? That's automated. And maybe we figured out something where these things show up at certain times, and
we caught a signal or something.
Maybe some kind of pattern that our computers have figured out, some that our own AI have figured out. Who knows, man? That world is so beyond us. Like, so jealous. Like, could you imagine like shooting down one of these things and then coming up upon it and looking at it, like seeing something that's like thousands of years ahead of you, and you can't even fathom.
It would be cool. I hope to do that without having to shoot it down. I'd love to just
obviously, yes.
Go see one.
Right, absolutely, man. Well, cool. He's another investigative journalist, Jeremy Corbell. You sent me this, and of course, it is about a giant pyramid.
Yep.
Right.
Crazy stuff. I saw, and I sent that to you like an hour ago, or I guess now like 2 hours ago.
Well, this morning,
But something that you and I have discussed at length, synchronicity. Every time we talk about something on the show, it just pops up in our feeds, no matter where we're at.
You're right. Always wearing
or something related pops up in our feeds anyway.
Exactly. This is the same interview, right? Oh,
I think so. Yeah.
Of the drone incursions on the East Coast, there is a sensitive, critical infrastructure facility that has to do with energy. And I got word that there was lifting out of the water in a bay with cameras near this facility that were so high definition that it's like perfect footage because you need security at this facility. And a pyramid comes up, pyramid by triangular by angle of observation, pyramid in shape. Okay.
Like a tetrahedron.
It lifts
three-sided pyramid.
Lifts up out of the water, rotates. I think that's 90 degrees, goes over this base and hovers for maybe 10 hours.
Whoa.
Goes back, goes into the water. And there's what's called the Honeywell system, okay, that is used by Department of Energy. And in the Honeywell system sits this file, and it's like burning a hole in the brain of a number of people. Remember, during the height of all this.
Huh? What? When you say burning a hole through the brain?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And they were on the base.
Yeah, I guess so.
Hole in the brain of a number of people. Remember, during the height of all this.
A number of people, wow. Did he say what base?
Not in this clip, no. He said A base. I think he said A base.
And I got word that there was lifting out of the water in a bay with cameras near this facility that were so high definition.
Yes, he's not telling us the facility.
Like perfect footage because you need security at this facility. And a pyramid.
But see, he's frustrated, man, in this interview. It sucks. It sucks that he wasn't himself. He wasn't his happy self. That's for sure.
Maybe he got jujitsu'd right before.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe
I'll never stop making that joke. I didn't know who Jeremy Corbell was until he said that, and ever since then, that's what stuck in my head about him.
But yeah, that was the mask was off that night. Now we have several images of this crazy footage from Ukraine. There's a stabilized one you sent me, but I wanted to see people to see the
Yeah.
context of it.
Yeah,
It's a drone.
This is just weird, man.
Yeah, and I mean, what I can't even describe this thing. It's like the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah,
right.
It's just.
You think it's the Russians like messing with the Ukrainians? I mean, I don't know.
You know,
this thing is so bizarre.
I have no. It seems to have some sort of propulsion.
Yes,
right?
It does. It's coming out here.
Now, people online keep repeating that the things around it that are creating the star shape are just
jets.
No, that it's camera error or whatever artifacts.
Oh, artifacts. Yeah, because it's so bright. That
or
does
something.
happen when things are so bright.
It's such a weird UAP or UFO. I don't know what to make of it.
I don't, because look at the cloud things underneath it too.
Yeah.
It's like creating some kind of distortion.
It's like a six-sided starfish.
Right, exactly.
And they see it like right there. It's at an angle, right?
Yeah. Well, that's because it's stabilized, so it's the camera pointing downwards.
Yeah, it's just I don't know what to think. This is a weird one. It does seem like we are going to get more international UAP information released. I know you just sent me an article saying Japan is thinking about releasing their UAP files, and I hope the whole world follows suit.
Exactly. I mean, the Ukrainian guy who released it after the Department of War released their files. So it's cool. And this picture is saying there's an eye seen in the middle.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about camera artifacts. That's definitely a camera artifact, but still
it is funny though.
Oh, would be creepy as hell. Can you imagine if you saw that like in real life up close and an eye opened up right in the middle? You'd be like, oh,
dude. I mean, there's that one event that the DoD released. It was a recent one with CIA officers in there and military officers, and they said that it looked like the Eye of Sauron in the report. From
that's not a good sign.
No, it's not. And then it's a jellyfish UFO that was caught in Zarqa in Jordan.
Yeah, this is great.
Terrible video.
I think I saw another stabilized version of this too. I can't remember if I sent it to you or not.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. It's a jellyfish. Of course, shaking. It does get better at the end.
It's weird. I feel like the jellyfish UFOs are typically somewhere in the Middle East. Those are all the videos I've seen of jellyfish.
Maybe those are the jinn.
Maybe.
Because they're saying that they always say that they're hideous. Sid should know better, but yeah, they say that they're very hideous, but they can morph to anything.
Good on these guys for getting closer. I mean, I know it's shaky cam, but still, they didn't run away and hide.
Right.
First instinct was good. That is so bizarre.
Like what? I can't even make sense of it.
Yeah, and especially if you want to talk about that 4chan leak where the UAPs are being 3D printed for their
whatever purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. What purpose would this serve? To be creepy.
Oh, look at that. And
all right, UAP, go out there and scare the shit out of these Arabs.
I want those sheep. I wonder if they have sheep abductions over there. We have cow abductions.
That actually is a fascinating question. I wonder. There's probably someone we can ask.
Yeah.
Anyway, fascinating stuff.
Yeah, and Jordan, by the way, that's the Swiss farmer UFO contactee. He was in Jordan with pictures, and they confiscated pictures from him in the 70s. What's his name?
The guy who's missing his hand or his arm?
Yes, his arm. Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe that guy for a second.
Yeah, but it's interesting that he was in Jordan, and they confiscated pictures they had. So Burleson, man, Burleson is he's really working hard, and apparently the White House needs his help, and which is great because that means we have Grush working on it, and he did say he is working with the White House. They need him because if the CIA is blocking this, and they are blocking this, and other agencies, then they need people like Burleson and Grush, who understand the system, know where to look to go grab this stuff.
And we need people with some serious cojones to just release it without authorization.
Correct. Right. Which is what he said he would do. So yeah, here he's talking about how the White House basically reached out to him.
So
Cool.
You think there's a lot more they could release?
Oh, I know there is. I know that there's more to come, because the White House called me so the White House called me and said, "Hey, can you talk nice about this release of videos?" And I said, "I don't even know what's in it. You guys have not engaged with us at all."
Yeah.
And I'm still in the tea here a little bit, and they said, "You're right. And we're now at a point where we need you, because you've kind of done the recon on this. We don't really know where to go take the investigation from here. Like we kind of know where to ask it. We're still declassifying. We have videos that we're still declassifying. We have content that we're still declassifying. But as far as like where to take the investigation, who do you think we should talk to?" And I'm like, "You're really asking me you're asking me who to go talk to?" So I gave them a that I've always wanted.
Oops.
Never really talked to me, because they're all protected under their non-disclosure agreements.
Sure.
And all of that kind of stuff. And so I said, "But I want to you got to bring me in, because I've been doing all of this work, and with no recognition. And so if now things are going to start getting real and real disclosure is going to happen, I deserve to be a part of this." And so
Nice.
that's kind of where things are. And last night, we had about an hour and a half briefing with Arrow, where we saw about 30 UAP videos. Some of them are incredible.
Yeah.
One of them, and I'll describe the two of them. One of them is of an object that is flying at a very aggressive speed. I don't know how fast, and then suddenly, just instantaneously, goes from whatever speed it's flying. And my guess is it's flying with the wind, probably 80 miles an hour in the atmosphere, and then suddenly just goes like Mach speed. I mean, just instantly takes off.
Just gone.
And it was one of those moments where everyone in the room gasped. Even the staffers, who are like the most skeptical people in the room, just gasped when they saw that video. Because there's not a single aerial thing that can do something like that can pull that off. The other video was one of a submarine. I think it's a Russian sub that we're filming, and there are about 3 objects that are buzzing around this Russian sub. That the camera operator, who's supposed to be watching the Russian sub, suddenly starts realizing, I've got to be watching these objects.
So nuts. So I guess those are coming out soon, probably next week is what they're saying.
I was gonna ask you about that, actually. I think you mentioned they're gonna do releases every 2 weeks. Is that the official word, or is that just on the words?
It's not official, but that's what they told him. They'll be every 2 weeks.
Well, good. That means next show should be a lot of fun.
Yes, exactly. I was telling Sid that, instead of waiting for a show, when those drop, maybe we should get on a live show and just go through those videos. And he said,
that'd be fun.
That'd be fun, right?
Yeah,
let's do that so we don't miss out on all the hype.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good.
And he's Eric Burleson. Also, he sent a letter. This is him. He goes, "I sent a letter to MIT Lincoln Labs asking for a classified 1952 briefing video referenced as a, quote, flying saucer talk, close quote. Their attorneys wrote back fast. They'll comply within 30 days. Now, this is a big deal because this is when they put new radars in Washington, D.C., and Washington, D.C. had the flap. If you and we covered that as well. I think we did a deep dive.
1952, if I remember correctly.
Yes. So this is a talk that MIT Lincoln Labs did with those radio operators and the ones who created the radars. Radar operators. So that's what this is what he's looking for, and it's been classified forever. So I would love to hear what those people thought. And hopefully it's not just weather inversion and
Yeah.
geese and whatever they say, ducks.
Right.
Swamp gas, but that's really cool. So it's definitely something we should retain and be declassified. 1952.
Absolutely.
Dude,
man.
I mean 80 years, I think that's enough of classifying reality.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah. And then this he talks about the last two documents that were released, which I don't think we didn't go through the drops, right? Specifically.
We just went through the videos mostly.
Yeah. There was some cool documents, especially here. Let's listen about one of them.
Cool.
The other thing that I think people should look at is what I've been briefed on multiple times since in these last 3 years, which is that we often see or have the reportings of these glowing orbs and metallic orbs. And they're like the size of a beach ball or smaller, but it's just really strange. And if you look at the last two documents, they describe an event that I was actually briefed on earlier this year. One of the most shocking events that I've heard, and mostly because when you realize who was there and who saw it and experienced it, senior intelligence officials and military brass at one location. They've often heard of these reporting sightings. You have a military personnel who says, I saw this, and they just kind of document it if they want to. There's been no event like this where you had undeniable multiple witnesses who are all senior intelligence officials and military who witnessed the same thing at the same time. This has shaken, in my opinion, it's shaken the intelligence community and our military.
Yeah, I mean, they're always showing up at these military bases. Just to send, obviously, they're sending a message, right? Some type of message to these military brass and intelligence officers.
Or they're just figuring out, well, what are you guys doing over here now?
Yeah. What are you guys up to exactly? What were they up to? I mean, if it's senior intelligence officials and military brass, they're up to something, and someone wants to see it.
Yeah, they wanted to hang out with little kids on an island.
Yeah, look at Brichette's eyes here.
Oh my god.
That's not a good pause right there. Not for Matt Gates either.
No, everyone failed here.
Matt Gates was at Massey's event this weekend. A lot of people showed up for Massey. I hope he wins, dude. I hope that guy wins.
Yeah, especially when you look at his opposition and who funds this opposition. It's like super obvious what's going on.
It's so obvious. Exactly. That's why the whole country sent him so much money. He raised like 2.5 million just this past week since Tucker had him on.
Good.
Because it was a scary interview, his Tucker one. Anyway, that's off topic. But yeah, let's listen to Brichette. He doesn't say anything new here, but always great to hear from him. And I'm glad that we have people like Brichette fighting for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
You've had the chance to review what has been released. You talked about propulsion. There's also just the pure speed of some of these craft that appear to be going at speeds and operating, beyond the capabilities that we know currently available, certainly at those altitudes and through those mediums. What was your major takeaway from what was released and what we learned from it?
Some of it is obviously, I don't think it's anything, but some of it is undescribable. The amount of the speed and the propulsion that these things have and the ability to turn literally on a dime that we are not capable of. I mean, you were in the committee, you asked some of the toughest questions, and the sworn testimony by the servicemen, and they said that there's nothing on this earth, none of our adversaries or us have any ability whatsoever like is exhibited in some of these videos. And I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of it. I hope somebody walks out of one of these labs with undeniable proof, because that's what it's going to take. And another thing you see is in Congress is these guys and gals, the critics, and you heard them when you were there, they are critical of us, yet they won't go in the skiff and pull back the veil and look at some of the things that we've looked at that we're not allowed to discuss. And I think that would answer a lot of the answers. I had a member of leadership take me in a couple of weeks ago, me and another member, and viewed some things that would have, I think would have settled the answer that we're not alone, that something else is out there, because the abilities of these things whether it's just indescribable of what they're able to do. And now we have it literally on footage of that. So I'm hoping in the future that some of those things get released as well.
That's what we need. We need something that's just, not that, oh, it could be one of ours. Oh, it could be this. It could be that. That's what we need. Just evidence that we're not alone. Something that's like, whoa.
Well, and that's what I was saying last week. I mean, I want to see, the craft that they've got in Area 51 or whatever. I want to see alien autopsy videos. Back to these videos, it does nothing.
No, it does nothing, and it's not really disclosure. Disclosure is, look, we have crafts, we downed crafts, we have reverse engineered. That is disclosure. So, I mean, who was I listening to yesterday that said that they're going to put it out there, but it's not like it's going to be a statement by the president or the government. It's going to be irrefutable proof, but it's going to be in the files, and we're going to have to deduce it ourselves, something like that. Which would be unfortunate.
Yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Like if they did release a bunch of stuff that proved that aliens exist, wouldn't that be like what Trump would get asked about like every interview forever?
Yeah. Right, exactly. I think it was Corbell actually who said it. That's what I was listening to last night with Chris Ramsey. So it might have been him. But if you listen to Burleson, he wants this disclosure, like what I said it is. And Grush is like, when we talk about these files, he's like, this is not really disclosure from the narrative that I am saying, but we'll get there. So hopefully we will. Hopefully. Yeah. Jimmy Semivan is CIA, ex-CIA, if there is that. But this is really cool. He talks about why this secrecy happened, and it kind of makes sense if you put them in their place, but there's no more excuse anymore, right? But the excuses he talks about does make sense in that time frame in the 40s. I like it. And he's probably right about it. He says he has an article coming out about it once it's approved. So hopefully it gets approved. But I really like what he said here. It makes a lot of sense.
I mean, what do you do with all that? I mean, and you don't want to panic anybody. The United States at that time was primarily agrarian. I mean, telephone lines were primitive, if anything. Most people didn't have television sets. They listened to radios. So what do? Well, you first of all, try to stave off panic. Second thing you do is you don't screw up the telecommunication system, which, like I said, is very, very primitive. So you hide this. You keep it away. You keep looking at it. But again, you don't want to panic the public. And or what if they found out very early on something very, let's say, dangerous or exotic about this that would completely upturn, the way people think about life and reality in general. I wrote a paper recently on disclosure. It may or may not get published. I don't know, but it has to go through the agency first. But and I talk about this concept. And for me, UAP and the phenomena, I don't care too much about the nuts and bolts of it because, let's say we have downcraft. I have it on good authority that we do anywhere from 9 to 20, and let's say we don't understand it at all. I mean, we've been looking at this thing forever. We can't figure it out, right? And the technology might be 30th century technology as far as we're concerned. But let's say we had a communications with non-human intelligence, some species. And let's say we listened to them, heard them, and maybe they explained a little bit about what they can do. I mean, and what they have done. We could see now, I mean, the technology is just absolutely incredible. They can appear, disappear. It looks like they're able to manipulate energy and or possibly space-time. Is, Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis talked about this in The Age of Disclosure. And I think That's the common theory right now that's going on in the government about what they think about UAP. It is highly, highly complex and very, very strange. But what does that actually mean? Well, if you look at, I mean, I talked to somebody once and I asked them, and I said, well, you know, where do you go to study this? I mean, do you go to an experimental physicist? Do you go to a theoretical physicist? Do you go to an engineer? And the answer is you probably go to all of them, but you also go to a psychologist, and you also go to religious scholars, and you also go to social scientists, because all of these disciplines, they're racked up on top of one. They're all involved in this, and there's no way you can escape that. So if you're looking at this, and I mentioned this in the podcast a few times, we're all used to living in this universe, this reality. It's a consensus reality based on our sensory package that we're all born with, which is highly limited. And so we're seeing things. I know, I had a friend of mine who was a younger guy, and he was all disillusioned about this and that, questioning life in general. And I said, you're looking at reality, or you're looking at your life through a very closed lens.
Yeah, he's so true about reality and consensus reality, and how that's the thing with this issue. It just it blows everything that we've all agreed upon, whether it's history or the system we live in of money now, and this consumer economy and energy. It's something, we're all comfortable being in, whether we like it or not. We all complain about it. And sure, there are other options obviously out there, but I guess we're all scared to explore them because they might destroy everything, right?
It makes sense. I mean, we all agree that the sky is blue, and that keeps us as a society more or less together.
Right. This would just open up the can, and I guess dealing with it is just too much of a headache. Right. And it's just better to tell the lies. If you are to manage a society, I guess, tell lies. And
I suppose, I don't know, man. It's frustrating. I want to know the truth. I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care about anything else. I want the truth.
And that's the fight, though, right? It's freedom and tyranny. The people who want control cannot have these type of conversations. They just can't, because then they can't control society.
Well, and there's another side of it too. I think it's freedom versus security. If everyone has the knowledge to do anything, you want to talk about unlimited energy and things like that.
Right.
It's for a lot of people, you're not going to be secure after that.
Yeah, but the argument that I always say is that, well, if we actually have free energy and these things, then there's no scarcity. If there's no scarcity, there's no reason for people to fight and kill each other over land or over resources or even over wealth. If someone's wealthier than you, if everything is abundant, but we won't even get there, because it's always like, well, if we have free energy, then terrorists can get here and just blow up our country. That's always the reason they're using.
You're absolutely correct, but the security part, I think, comes from, if you've got unlimited resources, there's no scarcity, like you said. That means there's no power of control. There's no means of control, and the powers that be can't have that.
I know, it's so frustrating. Like, there's something wrong with the way their brain is wired, but then they think there's something wrong with the way our brains are wired. There's one side that wants freedom, right? And the founding fathers have said this. These are inalienable rights. They've recognized these, that nature. You're born free, and you should be free to navigate that world and make your own path. So that's the philosophy. Then there's the philosophy of, well, no, we have to manage civilization and manage society, because if it's not managed, then you can't have people, the haves and the have-nots. That's what managed society creates, actually, right? Yes. It creates people on top with all the power, all the money, and then the serfs on the bottom. So it's a philosophy. And I don't know, man. Like, I like Giorgiani. He's a great philosopher, and he brought up something that a lot of these aliens, and he's reported this from his research, that used to come, not used to, but came to the United States, or even came to Earth. They came because it was freer than the societies they were fleeing, who were tyrannical, and they loved the U.S.
Imagine?
Yeah, I can. Right? I mean, if consciousness is like this, where it's that battle of freedom versus control.
Right.
Yeah, and this topic is deeply I think related to that, because here's Disclosure Party on X. The UFO topic was deliberately stigmatized by the U.S. government, as documented in the 1953 CIA Robertson panel, which means that public skepticism about this topic was manufactured by the state.
Yeah, shocker.
Yeah, and we can hear from Semivan what he said. They didn't want the phone lines clogged up with people reporting sightings, and so they had to stigmatize it. There's no excuse anymore. I mean, the excuse is, they want to stay in power, right? And they want access to these technologies only. That's the excuse now. But enough.
Yeah, enough.
Yeah, I mean, the world's such a mess, and enough of these wars. Everyone's sick of these wars over oil, right? Oil is still like now the basis of our economy, where it's being split up now.
So frustrating.
It is. And unless, I mean, many people have said that these people are not allowed, like our ruling class, are not even allowed to leave Earth. So you think if the universe is so abundant and so huge, what are they worried about? Wanting to keep us all down here, like in some prison planet. I've read a book where the actual ruling class are quarantined here. And like,
well, I mean, if this is a prison planet and and no one can leave, not even the elites, right? I mean, they're just the kings of the rats, essentially.
Yeah. Right.
But I mean, you'd think they'd have more. If that was truly the case, you'd think they'd have more interest in protecting the planet, keeping the planet healthy, and things like that.
Right, but maybe that's why always the messaging's about that, about the environment, about Earth, about nuclear weapons, right? Isn't it always the message from abductions?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and also that they're going to take over.
I think I'd welcome it at this point, unless it was like truly dystopian.
Maybe that's the point. Isn't that Half-Life basically?
I've never played Half-Life.
Oh my god, dude! Let's play it together.
Okay.
Dude, you'd love it, man.
I'm sure I would. It's just I only had a Nintendo and then Xbox and all that stuff, and I don't think Half-Life was on any of that.
I think Half-Life was on Xbox.
Oh, okay. Well, I missed
or leave
it.
Half-Life 2 or something like that. Yeah, because that's Portal. I mean, Portal is part of that world.
It's the same universe. I know. Yeah, I
same
know
universe.
That.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Look who's writing. No, I was gonna say, look who's writing a book.
Yeah, I see that. Neil deGrasse Tyson spent his life debunking UFOs, and now he's getting in on the grift. When in doubt, write a book.
Yeah. Could you imagine how much this guy used to talk so much shit about UFOs and UAPs and abductions, anything to do with the subject? The guy was on his own podcast, laughing his ass off about it, just laughing his ass off too, like hard. He'll go on TV.
He's still super pretentious.
So right now he's writing a book, and it's called "Take Me to Your Leader: Perspectives on Your First Alien Encounter."
Yeah, that could be helpful. I've seen some guides. I don't know how serious they are, posted about how you should speak to aliens, how you should communicate with them, assuming they don't speak English and things like that.
Yeah.
He does have I keep seeing a clip on YouTube Shorts with him, and he's talking about trying to explain sleeping to an alien. Well, yeah, like we've got a 24-hour day-night cycle, and after about 16 hours, I've got to just go into a light coma for about 8 hours. So don't panic if you see me sleeping. But also maybe I'm having a seizure. It doesn't. It's the whole thing.
That's so funny. So yeah, this guy is a total fraud, but I'm sure this is not a positive book, though. You can just take me to your leader. Right there, it shows you he's kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one day we'll get a smart UAP person to be just as pretentious as Neil deGrasse Tyson.
That's right. He did terrible on
on Jeopardy.
Yeah, I couldn't even get a basic question on Jeopardy right. How am I terrible at science?
Nice little response there. Well, I don't think I'll be reading that, but maybe I'll, ask someone who did read it to see what it's like.
Yeah, exactly. I'm definitely not going to be reading it. I couldn't find that. Oh, never mind. It was about that. It was a Reddit post on Corbell's documentary, which I did not rent, and looks like I won't be because it's all about him.
Yeah, I think we knew that though. I remember we played the trailer before it came out, and I think that was our takeaway. It's like, okay, this looks like it's just about Corbell,
but apparently it's like more about him than ever, right? Like from what that the Redditor, that was so funny.
Yeah, it's basically like, I've got information that could kill me, and then it's cut to him driving his Tesla truck or a Cybertruck, and then
his Cybertruck.
Yeah.
All right, and this is we already mentioned this at the top. Japanese government is now looking into releasing their UAPs as well. And then this guy, Department of Energy Assistant Special Agent,
in charge of retired Department of Energy Assistant Special Agent in charge, Kevin Childress, a potential UFO whistleblower, died while in talks to provide testimony to Congress about DOE UAP files.
Damn it.
Lou Elizondo was arranging for Childress to meet with members of Congress when he was found dead in his home by his wife in August 2021. Does that mean he was dead next to his wife, or his wife killed him? Childress described himself as a lifelong experiencer to those in the UFO community in the months prior to his death. He was a 30-year special agent who was awarded the DOE OIG Investigator of the Year in 2000-2005. Man, another one bites dust.
Yeah, and the DOE is what the legacy program apparently is in the DOE.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. So there are some Pavel Meda, he uncovered these clips of Childress or Childress?
I say Childress, but I'm not positive.
So these clips came out.
The instances, the pictures, and I'm sure they're deliberate, whatever's been coming out, right? That you get things that, to the typical people who just see orbs or triangle craft or whatever. Now they're sending out stuff that looks like balloons. These pictures that I totally believe are legitimate. They're sending out things that are so sort of trying to what we'll accept as being a reasonable way these things would present themselves, because I think they've got to get ready for the fact they can present themselves however they want to.
Right.
We have a problem that it looks like a pyramid, or a problem that it looks sort of like a plane, or a problem that to them that's maybe nothing at all to manipulate what we see. Right. So who knows? And we need to be ready for that when we start talking about it. So start at the beginning. The instant.
So he's saying that, which we've been talking about for a long time too, is that they can be whatever you want them to be. Right. And
exactly. Yeah. Well, and I think we've talked about on the show too, is why two people can see the same UFO, like physically they're in the same spot looking at the UFO, but they both come away with different experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sort of a lifelong experiencer, which can be a little bit weird when you're a federal agent, because some people are cool with it and some people totally are not. And I'm open to provide what I can, sort of as background to understand, how the system works internally. I mean, Lou's great at his intel stuff and everything. And very knowledgeable, but I may be able to kind of explain how the IGs work behind the scenes. I'm sort of a life.
Too bad, man. Too bad. He would have led us right to the programs.
Yeah, man. Well, that's probably why he's gone, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, it was in 2021, and this is his obituary. Kevin Patrick Childress, an esteemed federal agent and beloved husband. So 30-year career as senior special agent. His investigative mind fueled his desire to bring up open conversations surrounding UAP, and he was determined to find answers to the unknowns of our universe for future generations. Man,
gone too soon.
Yeah, it's just nuts that how this subject is. It's so frustrating, isn't it?
It is.
It really is like we're living a movie, some kind of movie, where this subject cannot ever leak out. It's
right.
I mean, it's in an official manner.
Right. Well, it's, I think I touch on it just about every article I write these days, but it's part of being the UFO investigator is you're never going to get, the answers. You're just going to get more questions.
Yeah, like Lucy on the football.
Yeah. So here we go. CIA seized 40 boxes of JFK and MK Ultra files that were being processed by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence for declassification.
Yeah, apparently.
So again, just the CIA are not the good guys.
No, they're not. And the ODNI sits on top of them. They're, you know what I mean? They report to the ODNI.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely insanity that they can just do this.
Yeah.
And once again, when it's the government, they can just kind of do whatever they want and don't get in trouble for their lies, cheating, stealing, breaking the law.
Well, and it seems like the CIA still runs the show no matter what kind of structure we have, you know.
Yep.
No matter what, you know, the DNI was created, or was it DIA? I mean, the JFK created the DIA because the CIA went rogue. So he created DIA just so it could control the CIA, but it doesn't matter.
Right. You know, and he was the last president to be really anti-CIA, and look what happened to the guy.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Even when Trump was coming in 2016, he wasn't very. Back then, he wasn't. But if you remember, Schumer was like, the CIA has, you know, have a lot of tricks on their up their sleeves to come after him.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't stop, basically. So yeah,
Right.
they've always been threatening people to maintain control. And this subject, I guess, JFK, MK Ultra, they took those files from.
Just unbelievable.
Yeah. So he's this whistleblower telling us.
I am a career CIA operations officer, and as you mentioned, I was on joint duty assignment at the Office of Director National Intelligence Directors Initiatives Group, or the DIG, between March 2025 and April 2026. I was responsible for leading the DIG's investigation into COVID origins, anomalous health incidents, and unidentified anomalous phenomena. I'm here today to discuss the COVID cover-up, the national security implications associated with the DIG's investigative findings, and CIA refusal to comply with lawful oversight, as well as how we remedy these problems. The CIA illegally monitored the computer and phone usage of DIG personnel, their investigations, and contact with whistleblowers. These were Americans being spied upon illegally while executing duties directed by the president and under the authority of the Director National Intelligence. You must be willing to pull the purse strings and, if necessary, convene another church committee. The results of our investigation would have been impossible without whistleblowers willing to come forward. They are indispensable agents for reform. I am a
crazy dude.
So when is Snowden going to get that pardon?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they're trying, but I doubt it. He did so much damage to them, which helped us. So we thank him. We thank him for that. But it just shows you the CIA is blocking not just UAP, but they went after MK Ultra, right? Which is the program that they figured out how to control, how to mind control human beings.
Also, they created the Unabomber using MK Ultra. Never forget that.
Yeah, and now they have all these technologies around to even do a better job with mind control. And probably that's why it's not allowed. JFK, we know why it's not allowed. UAP, we're still talking about that today. So we need people like Grush, Burleson, and strong people, and Burchett and Luna. She's good as well.
Mm-hmm.
Although I have issues with her, but when it comes to UAP, she is strong. And people like that need to push and fight the CIA and these other agencies, and just let us
at their own risk. At their own risk. But yeah, I completely agree. I mean, as a politician, that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, exactly. This guy is back again saying, I mean, obviously no one believes him.
Right.
But
so if you all remember, this guy came out of the woods maybe a year ago, a little bit less, and
a little bit less.
He said Trump was preparing a speech talking about that Trump was going to come out and do the "We aren't alone, we are no we are not alone in the universe of speech.
Yeah.
Now he's back, but then he like was a month ago, 2 months ago, he said, I was wrong. I had bad information.
I'm sorry. Exactly.
I'm sorry. And now he's back with new information, basically confirming that the Trump's "We Are Not Alone" speech is in fact going to happen.
Yeah, now it's going to be July 8th, right? Which is like the anniversary of Roswell. Come on.
Yeah.
oh, yeah, he's post-disclosure. Didn't you recently say that your source was not Bigelow and you were deceived? So help me understand, why is this different? And Mark says, sources is David Broadwell and another I can't comment on. Just stop it, man.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's...
I mean, it would be nice. I mean, as we've kind of discussed, I could definitely see Trump doing this, so he's always remembered. He leaves his legacy.
True.
Everything else seems to be falling apart, so why not make this his legacy?
Yeah, and it does fit with the whole like 250-year-old country. It works with Project Genesis that he's doing, right, with the whole AI connecting to all of the national labs, right, and creating new products and energy, whatever. So it does fit with that. That would actually be a very strong narrative if they can do it. When they bring in UAP with the 250-year anniversary of the United States, with this Genesis project where it's supposed to create new products and energy, and basically revive the country, revive the economy. And if these technologies are in the black world, fucking bring them out.
Yeah, seriously.
Save this country.
Please.
40 trillion in debt. They'll be like the new founding fathers. Maybe that's what we should pitch it to Trump.
There you go. So we should be in this cabinet.
Yeah. This is a real mecha.
Nice.
Have you seen this? Chinese.
No, but do you remember? I think it was like 2016. They were like going to do a big robot fight between Japan and the United States. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Look at this thing.
Hell yeah.
Dude, this is like, and of course it's China, so it's like Fallout. We're going to have our own now, and then we're going to fight them in Alaska.
Oh, sweet. Can't wait.
So it's not that big. Looks pretty easy to get into. And look at that.
Is it supposed to just be like a enhancement thing? Like what's its purpose?
Exactly. It's an enhancement thing. So he's sitting, although this thing is walking. I think he's controlling the hands. I'm sure they're walking as well, but he's going to pick up stuff. Yeah, look at that. All right, that wall doesn't look that strong, but still. Oh yeah, it goes on its 4 feet, 4 limbs. That's pretty cool.
Did they say what the purpose behind this was? Like, is it military applications, or is it
marketed as the world's first mass-produced manned robot? This machine can transform into a quadrupedal civilian vehicle. The unit weighs roughly 500 kilograms, including the pilot.
So
price will start at $650,000.
I don't get it's not. I mean, it turns into a vehicle.
Toy. Yeah,
it's a toy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Just to fucking walk around, the neighborhood.
Where would you even keep
terrorize your neighbors?
I guess you turn it into 4-legged mode and stick it in your garage or something.
Maybe to punch around the Optimus. Who knows? This wall thing's hilarious.
That's pretty funny. The thing was already leaning by the time he got to it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Exactly. That means we're probably only 10, 15 years away from an actual usable unit.
Well, yeah. I mean, exactly. I mean, for sure, military is going to use it first, which makes sense.
Of course.
Right. Construction as well.
Construction would be good. Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it'll keep humans employed, because I don't know. Are they going to make huge robots like that?
Oh man, I can't wait to live in the robot future.
I do want to end with this. I never heard Kubrick. Kubrick explains the ending of 2001, which
I don't think I've heard that either.
Me neither, man. It's really cool. Yeah, you'll love it. Let's hear what he thinks about the ending, and it makes a lot more sense.
It's supposed to be that he is taken in by godlike entities, creatures of pure energy and intelligence with no shape or form, and they put him in what I suppose you could describe as a human zoo, and to study him. And he spent whole life passes from that point on in that room, and he has no sense of time. It just seems to happen as it does in the film, and they choose this room, which is a very inaccurate replica of French architecture, deliberately so inaccurate, because one was suggesting that they had some idea of something that he might think was pretty, but weren't quite sure, just as we not quite sure what to do in zoos with animals to try to give them what we think is their natural environment. And anyway, when they get finished with him, as happens in so many myths of all cultures in the world, he is transformed into some kind of super being and sent back to Earth, transformed and made, into some sort of Superman. And we have to only guess what happens when he goes back. It is the pattern of a great deal of mythology, and that was what we were trying to suggest.
Very cool. That
is cool.
Yeah. And it makes a lot more sense, right? Especially how the furniture was.
Yeah, I remember I was in college and I hadn't watched too many movies growing up. But so I was like getting caught up in like all these popular movies. I remember watching 2001 and just not getting it. It took me a while and like a couple watches to go and like appreciate it.
I can watch it. I've watched it so many times. It's such a great movie. It
is really good.
Timeless. Yeah. Cool, man. Any new movies you've been looking forward to watching?
I still really want to see Project Hail Mary. The book was phenomenal. And the movie, I think it's in between theaters and video on demand now. So I'm just waiting for it to hit Amazon or whatever so I can watch it. That's really the only thing on my list. You know what, though? What's that?
Disclosure Day is coming out in a month.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So that's another one that's on my list. What I've been playing recently are the Assassin's Creed games. And I forgot those games are all about conspiracies and conspiracy
They're all
theories.
Conspiracies. Yeah.
Oh, it's great. I keep going, coming across stuff and being like, oh, I've talked about that. I know what this is. I have my own theories about this.
They got good stories in there.
Yeah.
It's
so
a game.
That's been really fun playing through those older games again. How about you, man? Besides Disclosure Day, anything on the horizon for you?
Probably. I wanted to watch Animal Farm, but seeing the reviews, the new one. But apparently they switched it because it's supposed to be against communism, but apparently it's for communism, so they switched it. Of course, in Hollywood fashion. Yeah. So I'm not gonna see that. Maybe Michael or something. I go with the film and go see Michael Jackson movie.
I've heard that's good, but of course they're not going to touch any of the pedophilia stuff with a 10-foot pole.
Good. Yeah, good. I mean, it's the state who's doing it, so it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I've been working on that game as well. That hopefully in a couple months it might be done. We'll see. But I'm getting all the infrastructure and blueprints ready, and then layer on top of that the narrative and then the graphics. So, but yeah, it's been fun working on that. Should be a cool concept. I might even reach out to Richard Geldrick because he's in the UFO community and he's worked on Portal 2. So nice. I send it over to him to get his okay or his blessing or maybe ideas even. We'll see.
Very cool.
If
that's a good idea.
If to a bigger game, he might get involved. I don't know. It'd be cool because he really researches like the history of this topic. He's really good at that. So yeah, it should be cool.
Great. I was going to go from Pentyrch to the Mage incident in Brazil, but that's going to be such a big undertaking because it's all once again about censorship and the government trying to remove things that all the links are dead, and it's going to be tough to get information on that one. I have a good start, but instead I am going to be writing about Socorro next.
Nice.
In New Mexico. Cool. That's a really fun one. Great case and relatively straightforward, so it's not too hard to research.
Nice. Well, excellent job with Pentyrch. You're getting really good with these investigations, and you might actually get to the point where you're interviewing the original sources or even some of the original researchers. The more you get out there and show how interested you are in the subject, and as you get better, and then well, maybe you might get onto those big publications. You never know.
Wouldn't that be something? And if I ever threaten to jujitsu people or make documentaries about myself, I need you to come slap me across the head.
I'll be there. Don't worry. Your original listeners will always be there.
Good. Well, we want to thank all of you for joining us here at the Uncovering Anomalies podcast. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Leave us some feedback. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you like the deep dives. We are going to be on top of disclosure as it happens, so stay tuned for that.
We will.
Adam, did you change your PFP, by the way?
Oh yeah, I updated it.
Yeah, it looks neater.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, because I was like, because it used older technology.